David is my friend, but I think from 2, 3 weeks ago, he did become my boss. And I think we have a relationship, or we've had a relationship for 20, and I say 90% of my life, where we've been very professional. Yes, our families have been friends, but I think when it gets down to work, we're here to win. We're here to be successful. We're here to build something really great. And I think there will be times when we have difficult conversations, but I think because of the loyalty, the trust, and the friendship that's been unbroken for the 90% of our lives, that will always remain the same. But I think because we've got the same goal of wanting to do something really special, to build something here that can be bigger than anything else that we've done in our careers or our lives, is something that excites me. And in 20 years time, we'll still be friends. Our families will still be friends, but hopefully this will be one of the best chapters of our friendship.
Thank you, Joe. Next question is from Tom Bogert. Tom, your line is off mute.
Hey guys, thanks for doing this. Nice to speak with you. This question's for Chris. I guess first, what really lured you to Miami, and what's next this offseason as you really get underway here?
Hi, Tom. For me, I've always believed in the Inter Miami project, and I feel like this is a global club. The resources and the support of ownership is the best in the league. The facilities are one of the best in the world, from going and seeing it, in the last week. It's a fantastic setup for our guys and support for our guys. And in this project, the potential to compete for championships every day, have the support, and be able to build something, not just from the first team, but a complete DNA of the club. To be able to create a culture, to have alignment through every department in our club, that we are all going for the same goal, and that everyone is supporting what happens with the first team staff and the first team players, and feeling a part of that. And you look at culture in a club, and for me, that is all the little things that happen every single day at the club. And if you do that consistently and positively over time, that equates to big results.
Thank you, Tom. Next question is from Franco Panizo, SBI Soccer. Franco, you're off mute.
Thanks, Jackie. Hey, guys. Welcome to South Florida. Question for each of you, if that's okay. Chris, starting with you. Obviously, you guys have talked about the academy players and instilling a DNA in the team. But short term, on the field, in 2021 and 2022, what are the goals for this team? It's obviously an ambitious project. They've talked since day one about trying to compete and be a contender, but what are the immediate short-term goals for the first team on the field? And then for Phil, I wanted to ask David and Jorge this, so I'm going to have to ask you, when your predecessor was appointed, his CONCACAF Champions League wins were pointed to as why he's the head coach. In a similar vein, what qualifications do you think you have proven and to get this position as head coach of such an ambitious project? Thank you.
A great question. So short-term goals, Phil and I have talked about his game model, the way he wants to play, being able to have an understanding of that and how we're going to build those pieces. So at the beginning, it's assessing everything that we have here, the pieces that are in, and then building competition at every position. We need to have competition every single day. So we have a team that's ready. When we have an injury, the next guy's ready to step up. So we will be pushing our players. We will be looking to improve in positions because competition's good. And we want to compete for championships every year. I think we, as a global club and a team that can compete with the elite in this league, when you build that competition, when you have a clear identity of how you want to play, then you can get to that position where you're competing every week. But as David and Jorge talked to about the hard work and the work ethic, we need that work ethic all the way through the club, from the players all the way through the staff. And I think both of us are hard workers, and we're excited to get started together.
Afternoon. Well, I think it's pretty. I think it's pretty simple. I think when people throw about the lack of experience, I always throw back that actually I've got a lot of experience. A lot of experience of being around winners. A lot of experience about winning myself as a player, but actually coaching at the very top level in Spain with Valencia, at Manchester United, and with the England national team getting to a World Cup semi-final. So in terms of what we want to build here, we've talked about identity. We've talked about connecting with the public. I've seen that. I've seen what best practice is when you walk into the training ground, which is one of the best training grounds I've ever been to. We have to behave in a certain way, and I call it elite behavior. Elite behavior is doing the right thing every minute of every single day, and I've lived that myself as a player, and I've seen and coached that way with some of the best players in both the men's and the women's game. So ultimately, I'm coming into this job to instill those values into this football club about what it takes to actually win. And I think I know those qualities, what it takes. We've spoke about the identity, the commitment, the discipline, the hard work. These are fundamentals that I want to instill into this football club. So ultimately, I think it's a great opportunity for me. We spoke about the youth system that we've got here. I've got great experience being produced myself as a young player and giving opportunities to young players as a coach. And I think lastly, I think the journey that I've just been on with the England women's national team is very similar to the journey that I see here. It was a journey where we was trying to grow something really special with the England women's national team. It wasn't in the forefront of everybody's mind. We wanted to get to be the best in the world. And we went on a journey for 3 years of instilling those values into a team to try to become the best. And that's the philosophy that I want to do here, working with great owners and working alongside Chris, who's got great experience.
Thank you, Franco. Next question will go to Ryan Tolmich, and then we will go to Tim Thornton. Ryan, your line is off mute.
Hey guys, I appreciate you guys doing this. Phil, your brother was on TV the other day kind of just discussing the differences between you, and he said one of the things was that you thought about being a manager and that you approached the game a different way. As manager of Inter Miami, what is your approach going to be, and when did it kind of pop into your head that this was something that you could kind of pursue?
I think I started my coaching badges when I was 22. From the age of 22, I just became engrossed, obsessed with coaching, with the tactical, the technical side. I wrote down every session. So from an early age, I had the bug to wanting to be a coach. I think when you're a coach, you've got to have that kind of obsession. So I think that's where me and Gary are slightly different. He has other sort of like ambitions, but ultimately when I see our great supporters coming to this stadium, when I see the owners coming to this stadium, I want them to see a team that they're proud of. I want them to see an identity to say, well, that's the team that we want to watch, want to support, and want to get behind. And that's my whole philosophy about the hard work, the discipline, the concentration, but more importantly, an enjoyment and a style of football that I think, for me, I have a philosophy that's non-negotiable. I want us to play a certain style of football, and I always focus on the work that's needed to go into winning. Winning is the dream. Winning is the dream for this football club, to win the championships, to win the medals, to become the best in this country. But ultimately, the work that we have to put in is going to be huge, and that's the challenge that me and Chris have got, along with the owners. We're in the early stages of our development. But from day one, we want to challenge the players to become the best they possibly can.
Thank you, Ryan. Tim, your line is off mute.
Can I ask you about your period with the England women's team? How important was that in terms of your development as a coach? And with England and also with Valencia, you push yourself out of your comfort zone as a coach. Do you feel as though you thrive on those new challenges?
It's what I always wanted to do. I didn't want to be one of those coaches that just stayed in Manchester all his life. I wanted to have new experiences. I always wanted to learn a language, and that's why I took the opportunity to go to Valencia and learn Spanish, work in a different culture. And I think since I finished my playing career, every experience has been different. Every experience has helped me build my own experiences, build a library of experiences that I can fall back on. And when the opportunity came to come to the MLS, it was a great opportunity. But it's something that, I've been watching MLS football since David came to the LA Galaxy. I spent 8 weeks in the LA Galaxy following, watching Bruce Arena. I have good friends as managers in this league. So I'm an obsessive type of guy. I'm an obsessive type of coach that wants to learn different experiences. So I'm a fast learner. I've come out to a place that I've always wanted to live and work, and I'm going to adapt really quickly. I've got great people around me. I've got Chris obviously around me who's got great experience, and I'm going to surround myself with the best people to give ourselves the best opportunity to be successful.
Thank you, Tim. Next, we will go to Mike DiPasquale and then to Jada Evans. Mike, your line is off mute.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. This question is for Phil. Phil, I know you had other obligations this past year. How did you follow this team, Inter Miami, if you did at all? And to bring Higuain, Matuidi in, the caliber of play like that, will you be looking for players that have that experience on the international level to bring in?
Well, to answer your first point, your question, I watched the majority of every single game. Obviously, with the time difference, sometimes it's difficult. I would always watch the recordings afterwards, purely and simply to support a team that I feel as if I followed for the last 8 years since David wanted to get involved with buying a franchise in America. I felt as if I followed the journey from day one. So I watched a lot of the games. Was a massive supporter for David, obviously as a friend. I think there's great potential in this team. Obviously, the results didn't go the way a lot of the time is in the way that we wanted to. But in terms of the caliber of player that we want to attract, I think there's two types of players that we want. We want the international star. We live in a world where football is universal. We're going to be on every single telly worldwide. So we need an international player that can relate to every household in the world. But ultimately, I think that young homegrown player is absolutely essential to this football club. Someone that we can put on that field that has the heart of an Inter Miami player. And I think that is the biggest challenge over the next 12 months. And I've got to say, with the backing of the ownership and the work that me and Chris are going to do, that is my goal this year, is to put somebody on that field that's got Inter Miami blood. And it's something that I'm massively into, something that's part of my DNA and my philosophy. And we've got some exciting young players coming through, but ultimately those experienced players that we've got, those international players with real quality, are going to play a massive part in our success.
Thank you. Looking forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you. Take care.
Jada, your line is off mute.
Hi, Chris. Hope you're doing well. I had a question for you. When you talk about the actually almost everything that you talked about as far as the success and wanting to build the Miami franchise up from the youth league, from the academy, everything basically except for the facility sounds the same as Seattle, and you were proven here. So did you hit a ceiling, or it just still sounds so confusing as to why you would leave here to go there?
Great to hear from you, Jada. I hope you're doing well. I think, the success that I had with Seattle, and I think, going through those experiences, when Inter Miami, when I looked at the project and spoke with the ownership, it was an exciting new opportunity to take a team that can get to the championship level and has aspirations to be a global club. So the challenge is exciting. It's a huge challenge, and it's going to take a lot of work and evaluation and assessment. And it's great to work with a new coach who has energy and to have David's involvement in the everyday building of the team. The excitement of being able to build a team and add some exciting pieces. And I, 20 years ago, I was here in the South Florida market, won a Supporter Shield with the Miami Fusion. So to be able to come back and connect with the fans here and have an opportunity to grow things here in South Florida. You look at where MLS was in 1996 with 10 teams, and now we're on our way to 30 teams. I'm just proud as a former American international to have a domestic league that is going in the direction it is. I think we should be proud of where MLS is, and Inter Miami wants to be one of the top clubs in the league.
Thank you, Jada. Next, we will go to Chris Whittingham and then to Steve Brenner. Chris, your line is off mute.
Thank you, Jackie, and good afternoon, guys. One question for the both of you. First, for Chris, do you feel like the club has enough resources, not commitment from ownership, but cap space and allocation money to build out, particularly the domestic side of the roster, a lot of internationals, but not a ton of domestics, so it would appear obvious. And Phil, there is kind of a narrative that foreign coaches come into the league and struggle, particularly those without experience in America, in terms of the travel, the heat, all the difficult, the salary cap rules and the roster rules. Are you kind of prepared almost to be frustrated at times with how different coaching in this league is than it is coaching in Europe or in other leagues? Thank you.
When you look at adding pieces, we obviously had the draft and added Ame and Josh yesterday. Some young additions who are going to be excited to join our team. We're looking at the next few transfer windows. Sometimes there's players who can come in right away, and then sometimes you have to wait several windows. So the scouting, the infrastructure behind the recruitment is there. And, I think we will be able to add piece by piece, but also be able to evaluate what we have. There are some challenges, with the salary cap. You have to have players who are trained right and outperform contracts. And I think that's how you have success in the league, is when players come and they perform well. I think everyone ends up winning in the end.
Good afternoon. I think that for me, that's the biggest challenge for me as a coach, is to come here and prove to people that foreign coaches can come here and be successful. I think that's the one thing that really excites me, is to prove people wrong, is to make sure that when I do leave, is that I'm successful. And I think, yes, there are many things that I've got to learn. I've sat through the last week, going through the draft system, obviously talking to Chris and his great experience through the cap system. But I've got to say, I think for me, it's been really simple, because it's been working with Chris and adapting to different types of situations. I'm an adaptable type of coach. There will be things about the travel, etc., and the different time zones that we have to adapt to as well. But ultimately, I think in my football career, in my short coaching career, we've had to adapt to different situations like travel, like heat, etc. So I've got good experience with that. I came out to America for every pre-season, where we were in a different city every 2 or 3 days. We had to adapt to it, and we were playing a game in the East Coast, the West Coast, every 2 or 3 days. So I'm looking forward to the challenge. I'm looking forward to the league starting, and I just wish it was tomorrow.
Thank you, Chris. Brenner, your line is off mute.
Thank you, Jackie. Hi, Phil. Hope you're well. I just you said that this is obviously a great opportunity for you, but you obviously you had a great job with the FA, and then also potentially going to the Olympics with Team GB. Can you just talk about the decisions that you made to move on from that, because it looked like you were sort of nailed on for the Team GB job.
Yeah, I think I did have a fantastic job, and I worked with absolutely fantastic people. And I've got to say, the players that I worked with were some of the best players I've worked with. And I was sad to say goodbye to them a couple of weeks ago. But I think sometimes in your career, you get opportunities that you can't turn down. And I think when this opportunity came up, I sat down with my boss at the FA, Sue Campbell, and I said, look, I've got 6 months left on my contract. Yes, we've got an Olympics, but this is just too big an opportunity for me to turn down. It's something that I'd always aspired to be, is to work in America, but to work for a great football club. And Sue didn't stand in my way. I've got to say a massive thank you to Sue to allowing me to follow my dream. Sad to leave such a great organisation who will continue to do well. They've got a coach coming in Serena who will do a fantastic job, and hopefully they will go on and get that gold medal that we've all strived for the last 10, 15 years. But ultimately, I think in life, you get one opportunity. And I think this was my big one opportunity that I had to grasp. And I did, with the help of everybody else. And I'm really looking forward to the challenge ahead.
Thank you, Steve. Next, we will go to Steve Bates, and then we will take 2 more questions before we conclude today's press conference. Steve, your line is off mute.
Hello, Phil. Good afternoon.
Steve, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. Thank you. All good. Phil, can I just ask you, in the earlier part of the conference, David was talking about the importance of building a DNA from the ground up. It's not always an easy thing to do, but both you and David have been at a club where in Manchester United, where the DNA was absolutely sort of crucial to the whole ethos of the club, and still exists, 60, 70 years after Sir Matt Busby. Is the Manchester United way of playing and the DNA that is Man United, is that the vision for you and David to instill that kind of a United DNA in Miami? I know it's different cultures, but the ethos is the same, I'm sure.
I think when you talk about the Manchester United DNA, I think it's the DNA of probably the most successful people, businesses throughout the world. I speak a lot with Jorge, and he talks about the values of his own company, the values of his own life, and those are the same values that Sir Alex Ferguson had, Manchester United have, all the best teams that are successful now in the world. So it's not just a Manchester United DNA. I think there are great parallels in terms of the way that we want to promote our young players. We want to give opportunities to our younger players. We want to make sure that we play with a style and we have a behaviour about us that is absolutely top. But ultimately, I think those qualities are the same qualities that probably Chris had in his career when he was successful at Seattle and as a player. And those qualities is what we want to install in this football club. I think when I arrived and landed in Miami, I came straight to the training ground, and straight away when you see the facility, when you see the stadium, and you see the infrastructure and the foundations of the football club, that is through hard work. That's through having a vision, and we want to continue that vision now by making us successful on the field. And yes, Steve, we've worked together. We've obviously spent time together covering football in Manchester, and those were the fundamental non-negotiables and values of that football club. Hard work, determination, giving opportunities to younger people, making sure that the fan base is connected and can see on the pitch something that they can be proud of. And I think this year me and Chris have spoke long and hard about that connection with the supporters to make sure that when they turn up to this unbelievable facility, they see a team that they're proud of. And when Jorge and David are watching upstairs, they look down and they see something that they love and that they want to come back and invest even more than what they're doing in.
Thank you, Steve. Next, we'll go to Katia. Katia, your line is off mute.
Thanks, Jackie. This question is for Phil. Good to hear that you've learned Spanish. Hola, Phil. Bienvenido a Miami. I wanted to get your thoughts on the current roster. What excites you the most about the talent that you'll have, the designated players, if there's something missing from the team, or what have you seen so far?
Well, I think first and foremost, I think in the future I will be doing press conferences in Spanish, but at this moment I'm a little bit nervous about doing it on my first press conference. So maybe in the first game of the season we speak Spanish. So that I will promise you. But in terms of the roster, I think I've got friends in this league that tell me all the time how good a players we've got down here. So ultimately I want to evaluate the players that we've got here. I think we've got some tremendous senior players. We've got a group of players that probably underperformed a little bit, that know themselves. They're going to take accountability, that they will get better next season. Obviously, every season you need to keep improving, and me and Chris are working together to make sure that we get the best possible roster for day one of the season. And I think it will take time, but ultimately, what I see in some of the guys that have come and are training at the facility at this moment in time, I think there's a real hunger and determination amongst them now. I sent a message to the players at the start of the week, just introducing myself, just to say hello, and the messages and the conversations that I'm having is that I think these set of players know that they're a little bit hurt, they're a little bit scarred at this moment in time for the performances from last season, and they want to come back this season and show everyone how good of players they are. So it's that hunger, that determination that I've seen this week, that I'm sure that we can take into the season. Added that with a little bit more quality in terms of the players that we want to bring in, I think will make us a real strong unit and someone that we can be really competitive.
Thank you, Katia. And the last question will go to Jonathan Tannelwood. Jonathan, your line is off mute.
Thanks. Hi, Phil. Welcome to MLS. You've coached. This is another, as you've said, on the list of coaching experiences you've had. And we hear often that there are differences between coaching clubs and national teams, coaching men and women. And I wonder what the differences you think are and what the similarities you think are.
Well, I think I used to always get this question at my early press conferences with the women's team, and it was if the football on the women's side was played on a different planet. For me, it was football for women, football for males is the same. It's a ball played on the same pitch with the same size goals, and ultimately the sessions that I did at Manchester United, the sessions I did in Valencia were no different than the sessions I did for my women's team last year. So ultimately, there are slight differences. The way that you deal with a female footballer or a male footballer, there's slight differences, which is natural, and it's something that I really enjoyed the challenge. But ultimately, when we go on the field, the tactics, the system, my philosophy was no different. The things that I say to a right back with Lucy Bronze in the England team is no different than what I would say to the Inter Miami Niles or Vigal, the right back with the male team. So ultimately, there are slight nuances, there are slight differences, but ultimately it's football played on the same pitch with the same size balls, with a referee, with supporters in the stadium, and ultimately with the same goal, and that is to win. And that's where I think the adaptation between going from men's to women's games for me has been so similar, because you can worry, you can think too much about it, but ultimately it's just a game of football.